All is one. All is one, everyone. When you pop in, say where you're watching from. That way I know who's watching. And if you're watching on Facebook, you have to allow it to see your name, or else I can't see you. But I'll give it a second. I'm responding to this video that I might talk about. My boyfriend just sent me this video about this girl. The caption says she taught her baby daddy how to do voodoo, and he used his powers to get custody. Child, this is messy. I watched a couple minutes of it, like the first part, and this girl don't even know what she's talking about. It's crazy, but whatever. Um, people are funny. People are really funny. Um, I'm gonna. It's still in the package, y'all. I ain't even open it. I'm for real. I put unboxing in there. It's not unboxing. It's unpackaging. But you know, they call it unboxing. It's unpackaging. We're gonna unpack today. We are going to unpack. Um, doo -doo -doo. If y'all hear kids being loud in the back, it's because it's MLK Day and my kids are home, and so they are back there doing all types of shenanigans and tomfoolery, and I can hear them yelling. So if you hear them yelling, just ignore it. Have kids, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Y'all, why is my live locked on Facebook? That is so weird. It say it's locked. I don't know how to fix that, y'all. Why is it private? And it's not letting me unprivate it. I'm so upset. Why does it say only me? Am I going to do it from my phone? I'm so mad. Anyway, let me go back. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? All is one, Priestess Ifaponmile. That's my sister, y'all. Ifaponmile, it made my live stream private on Facebook, and I don't know why. It even made my post private, and I don't know why. Like I know that I did that. I know that I posted about it, and it's gone. Okay, now it's public. They say it's public. Okay. I can see it. Can y'all see my Facebook? Thank you, Ia. It's okay. I posted the link on YouTube. Y'all can just watch it on YouTube. I'll fix it later. All is one. Oshun Fala. Facebook is kind of shady. Yes, it is. I'm so like upset that it says it's private on Facebook. But anyway, I love y'all. Thank you for joining me today. I'm gonna open this for the first time. There's another person here. I don't know who it is, but hi. Say something in the comments so I can see you. I'm about to open it, y'all. Y'all ready? Okay, so what is in this package? This is Walking with the Orisa. This one released first. They were all supposed to release today, but technology be doing some weird stuff, and so it kind of ended up in a drip campaign. Hi, all is one, Rika. How are you? So this one released first, so I already had it ordered. I was gonna go live yesterday, but the book didn't come until like later in the afternoon, and we had a class that ended up starting, so I couldn't go live yesterday. So I have this one. Living with the Orisa is released as well, so you can also purchase that. And Ifaponmile is right now working in the back, trying to get the link ready for the planner. So hopefully by the end of the day today, you'll be able to get all three all at the same time and have them delivered. And cute little tip, that app, that place that has the arrow, you can use Affirm. So if you ain't got it right now, that's fine. Use Affirm to pay for it. You can do your installments for, like $10, $20 a month, whatever it is. So use Affirm. Also, the mentorship starts on February 1st. You will need both books and the planner in order to do the mentorship. And you can also use, I think, Klarna and Affirm to pay for that online. So I got options for you. Okay, just get things and come join us. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna open it now, y'all. If you just joined, say something in the comments so I know that you're here, because it doesn't tell me. But I know I got my godmama here. I know Priestess Ifaponmile is here. I know Oshun Fala is here. I know Rika is here. Rika's gonna have a name soon when we get these Lakers. But let me know who else. Oh, Priestess Ola Ia is here. Ola Ia, if you're able to get on camera later, I do want you to get on camera later to talk about your book. Priestess Ola Ia's book is also coming out today, and I'm excited about her book. So she's the. I'll let her do her proper. I'll do her proper introduction later. How about that? But it's gonna be interesting. If you identify as female, you should get her book. I'm gonna say it like that. Okay, y'all. I'm just throw that package down, child. Look at it. It's so pretty and shiny. Right now it's just in paperback, but it'll be available in other formats. Priestess Ifaponmile is it on Kindle yet, Priestess Ifaponmile? I can't remember if you said it was. I haven't checked back. Oh, Priestess Ola Ia says she has an appointment, so I'll kind of send me a little blurb about your book and I'll talk about it later. Y'all, look at it. It's here. There's the back. Look how colorful and beautiful this is, y'all. I just love it. I created the cover and the back myself. For all of them, actually. I did that. I didn't do it for my first book. So if you already have my first book, that is, A Bridge, a Moat, and a Dragon. Which I should grab. I have my kid bring it to me. My first book, my godmother actually she designed that cover for me. I gave her the title and like gave her like an idea of what I wanted, and she actually created that cover for me. So shout out to my godmother for the first cover because she did that and it was beautiful. I loved it. This one I did myself and I'm really excited about it, y'all. It's so pretty and shiny. The thing I do like about paperback though is you can like bend it a little bit better and you can really like get in there when you're writing. I don't know if y'all write in y'all's books. I write in my books. I will never sell my books because I love them. And I actually like highlight things in my books and all types of stuff. There's even charts in here and they look beautiful. This is my first time seeing it, y'all. So you can't really tell what that is because it's kind of blurry, but there is charts in here and it looks good. Thank you, Ifa and Ia, for like taking your time to make sure that this actually looks good in print. And these is full pages too, y'all. This is 85 pages of real stuff. This is not like a whole bunch of space. These is real pages. I'm so excited. Thank you. Oh, there. I guess I could put these on the screen. That's my godmother, y'all. If you're not following Priestess Oshun Funke, please do, because a lot of our classes and stuff, she's starting to release publicly. So you can see some of like our real like deep coven shit for free. So make sure you're following my godmother on YouTube. That's Oshun Fala. Thank you. She said we help. Whatever. Y'all did great. Y'all did great. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. So Living with the Orisha is the other one, which it's this. Okay, so let me start all over. Walking with the Orisha. This is a guide for new practitioners. So we discuss a lot of the more known Orisha, but I also discuss some of the lesser known Orisha that are just important. So for those that don't know, there is the 7 African powers actually have nothing to do with the Orisha. Okay. There is a book by an author who it is a nice little source of information for people who are new. But there is a book called The 7 African Powers that only has 7 Orisha in it. It's more of a Lukumi based type situation in that. And Lukumi is just a different version of the tradition. So Orisha practice is more than just Ifa. It's more than just Santeria. It's more than just Lukumi. There are several Orisha practices. In particular, we practice Orisha Hoodoo, as some of you may know, and our books are published by Orisha Hoodoo Publishing. So you can go to orishahoodopublishing.com and you can see all the books that are available, including my first book. I have a few god sisters who wrote books previously. Priestess Ifa is one of them. Her first book was Mind Your Mood, which was great book about just vibrations and how you show up in the world and how to make sure that you're showing up in the best version of yourself and ways to combat some of the nonsense that life will throw at you. So that's a great book. My godmother has, I don't even know how many books at this point. Get Your Life is the one that goes like on a month by month basis, like ways to prepare for the month. Katiana Kare, also known as Priestess Omisika. I don't want to mess up her other name. Priestess Omisika. She has a book called Roots of Wealth, which is also amazing. And it kind of gives some of her story a little bit, but it just talks about, where wealth really comes from and the ways to overcome some of the generational trauma that we have around wealth and money. So her book is very amazing. Make sure you grab that. Grab them all. Treat them like Pokemon. Gotta catch them all. My godmother also wrote a couple of children's books. So, and they are named after her actual children, which is just beyond cute. And knowing her actual children and then seeing their name in a book is beyond amazing. And I know for a fact that Deja Doesn't Give Up, I think is the name of that book. Deja has been at some of like the events publicly. So, and she's read to like kids. She's been able to read a book with her name on it to like small children. And I think that is absolutely fantastic. So Orisha Hoodoo Publishing is doing some things. But anyway, back to this. So in this book, I talk about some of the lesser known Orisha, because it's more than just the 7 that most people talk about. So Ochosi is in here. So a lot of people don't really know what Ochosi is about. I would say he, but there are times where Ochosi is a she. As with pretty much all the Orisha have like a dual capacity in that realm. They do have male or female aspects of themselves. And so gender is quite fluid in Orisha practice. It's not as straight-laced and staunch as in some other places. Osayin is another one that I talk about in the book. So Osayin is the Orisha of like herbs and healing and the science of nature and things like that. And so when we enchant our herbs, some of us, we have something that we say very specific to kind of invoke Osayin to make sure that we are paying respect to him and respect to the herbs themselves. So that's stuff that I talk about in the book. I also talk about some of the mystical forces. That's what it says in the book. They're called the mystical forces. Because a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about what the Ajagun are. And they have a lot of misconceptions about what like the Iyami are. And so I do talk about those briefly. I don't mention any type of veneration of those specific Orisha, because one of them you don't venerate and the other one you can, but only under very specific instructions and with very specific authority. I'll say it to you like that. So, but I do talk about it in the book because I think it's important. I think it's important for new people to know at least a basis of what these things are. You're not going to be able to call yourself a child of Oshun or a child of Oya just because you do the things that are in this book. And that is not ever going to be the plan. And most of the things in this book are going to be stuff that if you took the time to Google for a few years and compiled all the information, you would find out. I made this book so that new people had one place to go, and it's written simply. It's not written by someone who is trying to intentionally gatekeep. It's not written by someone who doesn't actually practice, because that 7 African Powers book was written by somebody who doesn't actually practice. They also have a voodoo book, and they have books about, I found out they have books about like Celtic magic and things like that. And I'm like, girl, you don't do all this. So this was written by somebody who actually practices. And hold on, my sister's texting me. And it's not about the live, so I don't want to ignore her though. So yeah, this book is really good for beginners. And I actually had one of my friends, I don't know if she's able to be on right now, but somebody I know in real life, like I've known her for years, longer than my children have been alive. I had her read one of the chapters, and because I wanted to make sure that somebody who was new could read it and understand it, and that it answered some of the questions that they had. So I had her actually read the most benign chapter ever. I had her read the Obatala chapter once I was done with it, just to make sure that I had everything in alignment. So when I started writing this book, Obatala, I started first. And those of you who know me closely, you know why I would have started with Obatala first. So I started with Obatala, and it, just really flowed really easily because I have a lot of experience with that energy. And then I can't remember what I was doing one day, and something just like pops into my head. And so I do this thing where when I have a thought, especially about the practice or something like that, I'll just like put it in a Google Doc real quick. And then that way I can expand on it. So Ochosi was actually next. So I actually have also a very close relationship with Ochosi. So I I started typing, and I think I ended up typing more for Ochosi than I had for Obatala. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is how this is going to work. So I went through, and I think I actually finished Ochosi first. And after that, I circled back to Obatala to make sure I included the same things. And then I was like, okay, but what else is missing? And so I had to really sit and figure out what was missing. And then I asked my friend, I'm like, okay, so what are some things you would like to learn as someone who is like super new? She's like most people, like she's Googled a couple things, but she's not at all a practitioner. And she's one of the ones that plays it safe, where she's like, yeah, I'm not touching nothing until I get a mentor, because I'm not finna be up here messing up my life, doing weird stuff. So I just asked her a couple questions. She, told me what it is that she wanted. And so I added those things to both chapters. So then I gave her Obatala first. I gave her Obatala. And then she approved of the way it was written and the content. And I said, okay, bet. So then I just had to duplicate that with everyone else. So that was my process. Priestess Ifa Shewa put Junior in the comments because she calls me Obatala Junior, which is very funny. Those of you who are going to join my mentorship on February 1st, you'll probably get a better little synopsis of that. Okay. Thank you, Priestess Olia, if you're still with us. Thank you for sending me this. I will bring this up here in a little bit. So a bunch of books are going to be released today. Like I said, I have 2 books, Walking with the Orisha, Living with the Orisha, and The Path of Daily Power, which is actually a planner. So Walking with the Orisha is really just like the baseline information for the Orisha. Colors, things that you can offer, like some background information, a couple of stories about the Orisha to kind of help with your understanding of how they move through our space, and pronunciation. So it was a lot of work. Gotta tell y'all, it was a lot of work, but I actually have the proper pronunciation and accent marks in the book. So it will help, because I know a lot of people don't know how to pronounce Yoruba words, and that's fine. Especially like Eshu, Ori. Even I just saw a video, I think I said at the very beginning of the live, my boyfriend sent me this video like right before my live started. And it was this girl talking about how she was getting into voodoo and hoodoo. And when her boyfriend got out of jail, he, noticed, he asked her about it. And so they started practicing together. And then he went over more to the Ifa side. But she didn't call it Ifa. She called it something crazy. I can't even recreate in my mind the pronunciation that she gave. But she said it multiple times, and it made me twitch. I can't stand it. Oh, you saw Ifa Shewa? Yeah, it's crazy. So here's the problem. And this is another reason why I wrote this book, and another reason why I'm doing the mentorship. The problem with a lot of people is we approach African traditions like we do Christianity. We think that we can we think that we can go to one place and have all the knowledge, and then that's all the knowledge that there is. That's not the case, because this is actually an oral tradition. So most of us, anybody who writes something down is usually very careful about what they write down. And so I had to be very careful about what I put in the book, because I didn't want to put anything that was awo. I don't want to, as my godmother says, bastardize the tradition, right? But I want people to stop doing dumb stuff, okay? I want people to stop saying dumb stuff. Now, with Christianity, it's a little bit different. We have the Bible, and then that is supposed to be, our book, right? That is supposed to be the thing that you use to learn and preach to others, right? Well, with oral traditions, specifically African traditions, there is no one book. If you happen to get a reading and they pull an Odu from that reading, that Odu can have anywhere from 4 to 64 verses or more of it. It just depends on what that Babalaba or that Yanifa has access to, or someone who else is initiated, not necessarily a Yanifa or a Babalaba, but there's other people who can read Odu. So it's like, there's so much information that could be given, and there's so much information that one person just may not have. And so Ifa is not this very narrow path of knowledge. Ifa is a whole lot of knowledge that no one person can learn in one lifetime, which is good that we have multiple lifetimes, which I talk about in the book too. Just some like the baseline information. Like we believe in reincarnation in a way. You don't always become yourself again. You don't always, there's different versions of reincarnation, but you are your ancestors, and your ancestors are you. So at some point, you may have been a few generations back. It may have been 500 years ago since your last life, but you probably had another life before. Now my son, we think my son is on his first life because the boy's special. Okay, he's smart, but he just be doing stuff a little special. Maybe it's his second life. My daughter, she done been here a few times because her spiritual powers are way beyond even mine, really. And so I think she's been here a few times, probably a couple times longer than me. And I don't think I think this is probably third or fourth go round, because I don't know everything, but I've learned some things pretty quickly. So anyway, that's touched on the book as well. But there's just so many misconceptions about the Orisa, about the practice, that I felt needed to be cleared up. Ifa, yes, she called it Ifa. I wanted to tear the ears off of my head, y'all. I just couldn't every time. And then she said that she was a child of Oshun. And I'm like, not saying Ifa, you're not. Absolutely not. You haven't had a single mentor. Your teacher is TikTok. There's no way I'm not saying there's no way she's a child of Oshun. That's not the right thing to say. There's no way that she's practicing properly if she's calling it Ifa. That's what I'll say. It made the inside of my face itch. That is so funny. Anyway, so if you have any questions about the book, put them in the comments so I can answer any questions that you have. TikTok as a teacher is insanity. Bro, listen. The TikTok. Oh, and then she said, oh, that reminds me, because she said something about witches, and she was like, I don't know if they really call them witches or whatever, but the person he started talking to was into Oshun, and I consider myself a child of Oshun, and I was just like, ah! And I think that's about when I turned it off, y'all. I couldn't handle too much more of it, and I don't even think I'm halfway through the video. I think this video is like 10, maybe 20 minutes long. I don't even know, because I couldn't, y'all. I couldn't. No shade against her, but no. No, baby. Just no. And this is why people need a mentor. This is why people need someone who is more experienced and willing to teach in a way that is benevolent. There are a lot of people who will teach you some stuff, but it's not the important stuff. I shouldn't say that. It's all important. They're very careful about what they teach you. And they may not teach you the who, what, where, whys, and hows of it. They'll just say, this is what you do. You do this, you do this, you do this. And when they do that, that's why some people think that there's only one way to do something. That's not the case with Ifa. In almost everything. You wouldn't only give Oshun oranges and spinach. Can you? Yes. But you wouldn't only give her that. There's so many other things that she would take. You can give her camwood. You could give her honey. Obviously, you have to taste it first, and I explained that. But there's so many other things that you can do. You can give her yellow flowers. You can do a number of things for Oshun. It's not just the one way that you learned it. And I think a lot of people don't understand that yet about Orisha practices. They just think that, oh, this is the way I learned it, so this is the only way that there is. And that is definitely not the case. Every Ile has their own kind of like protocols for certain things. And it doesn't mean that any one Ile is wrong. If it doesn't work, it's wrong. But if it works, it's fine. Have you ever heard that saying, it's only weird if it doesn't work? It's like that with the Orisha. It only matters if, A, that's definitely not what they wanted, and they told you that and you didn't listen because you thought you knew better, or you did something out of like pure ignorance just because you truly didn't know. But in almost every case, if you give something with the purest intentions to venerate and show your respect and show homage and appreciation for whatever blessings that you are asking for, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be fine. They may want that and something else. So they may take your popcorn. You may give Oshun popcorn. I wouldn't. When I think of people I could give popcorn to, Oshun is not one of them. But you could. But she may also be like, okay, well, put some honey on that. Or, sprinkle some camwood. Sprinkle some cinnamon. Sprinkle some rose petals. Something like that. She may ask for something else in order to make that full and complete for her. So, like I said, it's not that any one thing is wrong. There's a lot more ways to crack an egg. She said I stopped at Ifa. I stopped probably about the 5th time she said Ifa is right about when I stopped. All is one. My friend Dora, I was just talking about you. I was telling everybody how I gave you the Obatala chapter to make sure that it was something that a new person could understand and get a good amount of knowledge from. So shout out to Dora for her contributions to Walking with the Orisha, because her new eyes definitely helped a lot, because sometimes as practitioners we get caught up in what we know and what we want to say, but we don't make sure that it's something that a new person, if you're teaching new people, can actually understand. And since the whole purpose of this was for new people to understand, I want to make sure that a new person could understand, a new smart person, a person with sense. Some people will never understand, and that's fine. But someone with the sense God gave a garden lily could understand the book, okay? So Living with the Orisha, which is the second book. I don't have my copy yet. It hasn't arrived. But Living with the Orisha talks about the space in your home. So, and more like ritual stuff. See? So is the man. It talks about the ritual space, like how to set up your rituals in accordance with the day of the week or the month or the moon phases. It talks about how to set up your home for to make sure that the energy is flowing properly in your home. So feng shui is talked about a lot in the book. Exactly what parts of your home govern what parts of your life. What part of your home governs your career? What part of your home governs money? What part of your home governs love? And how to make sure that you are feeding into that energy appropriately in those parts of your home. And how to set your home up, if you can, to make sure that that energy is fed properly. So like if you're building a house, I think I talked about this in one of my super old classes. I couldn't even tell you which one. But if you were building a house, you would want to build your house according to normal vibrational law, which is another thing that Priestess Ifa Shewa is amazing at. You want to make sure that you know, there's ley lines that you could pay attention to too, but that's a bigger thing. But you want to make sure the direction that the windows face and the direction that your bed is going to face, like where your head is going to be, putting fresh flowers in certain places, putting fresh water in certain places, maybe even, I don't want to say saging, but smudging certain parts of your home more often than others, because that's where all the backup is, or praying in a certain space in your home. Those are things that you would want to pay attention to if you were building your house from scratch, and you can build it any way you wanted to. So the book talks about stuff like that too. But even if you can't build a house, you can maneuver a little bit. Obviously, you don't want to change people's rooms. You don't want to move your kids' rooms if you have kids. You don't want to put your living room in your bedroom and your bedroom in your living room. You don't want to do stuff like that. But you want to just make sure that you're aware of what parts of your house govern certain things, and then feed into that as much as possible, especially if it's a problem area for you. So like I had, when we first moved into our new apartment, my house is warded to hell. Okay. Warded to heaven, hell, and everything in between. And one thing, it's like an alarm system. So if it starts to deteriorate or get weird, that means there's a problem, right? So it got weird. And I told my godmother about it. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? This is how it looks. And she was like, hold on, let me pull this up. So I knew about feng shui, but I didn't realize the pockets of your home part of it. And so she's the one that first introduced me to it. So again, shout out to my godmother, Priestess Ocean Funke. She told me about it, and I was like, oh. And she told me what that particular part of the house meant. And I was like, oh, well, we can fix this right now. I did a ritual and some other stuff, sage. I had to replace, obviously, the thing itself, and made it a whole big deal. And it's never gotten that way again, because I learned what that meant, or what at least it could mean. Now, she did a divination too, because she's my godmother and she loves me. So while we were talking on the phone, she just did a quick little divination. She was like, yep, that's what it is. And so I handled it, child, because we can't be having that. I think it had to do with money. Yes, it was about money. And so cleared that right up, because we're not trying to do all that. I don't need no blockages of money at this point in my life. So that is one of the things that we talk about in living with the Orisha, and then liking it to Orisha type energy. So, you know, for the summertime, what's something that you can do to help with that, the energies of the summertime? There's actually a lot of rituals in living with the Orisha. That's the ritual book. Really, there's a few rituals in there, things like spiritual baths, just plain stuff, nothing extravagant, nothing that's going to take a whole lot of time. Stuff that new people can easily do, especially people who are in my mentorship, because by the time you start doing those things, you'll be good to go. So that's another thing to do with the mentorship as well. We're going to be doing the things from the book as it progresses. So it starts February 1st. We're going to talk about it lightly, because February is just going to be like an introduction month. This is where you're going to get some of the foundational information. You're going to have to read both books. You're going to start filling out the planner, and we're going to start, learning how to put some of the things into practice as it relates to your actual life. So the whole goal of the mentorship and the planner is so that you can properly integrate spiritual life and real life. A lot of people like to keep them separate. A lot of religions actually keep them separate. And that's why we have some of the problems that we have now, because people are trying to keep their spiritual life and their real life completely separate. You can't really do that. You're supposed to be a living embodiment of whatever it is that you believe. So even if you're not practicing any of the Orisha traditions, you could still use the planner, because it still has its benefits. And I do a full 24 hours. So most of the time, planners start at like 7 a.m. and end at 9 p.m. I didn't do that because that's not practical. I have a prayer time of 4 a.m. And some days I don't go to sleep after, because I have things to do. So that's what the planner is for. Like, I get up at 4, I do my prayers, and if I know that I have some stuff to do, that's when my day starts. Sometimes I get to go back. Most of the time I get to go back to sleep. Every now and then when I wake up before, that's just where we're starting for the day. So that's what the planner helps with. It's a full 24 hours. So people who work third shift have probably never been able to really use a planner before because it always has the wrong times on it. So I changed that. I made sure it was the full 24 hours because I don't want to pigeonhole people. I don't want to force people to do certain things at a time that's not convenient for them, because that's not how you actually live. You have to make things fit. Kids have doctor's appointments, again, if you have kids, family appointments, family functions, work. The post office closes at a certain time. So you gotta put that in your day. You have to plan for that, especially if a normal like 9 to 5 job. Either you're getting up super, super early or you're leaving on your lunch break, something like that. But you have to use your time wisely, especially given if you have like a regular job. So that was the whole motivation behind that. I had actually created this years and years and years and years ago with I had Katie. Some of you know Katie. Her and I have Vibe and High together, which is a online metaphysical store. So we have herbs and candles and all types of stuff that you can buy at vibeandhighcolumbus.com. But she found the moon phases for me, and so she did that for me because I didn't feel like doing that, y'all. So she found all the moon phases for me, and that was at the back. Well, then when I actually did to put it in print now, because I was looking at ways to put it in print for years, and it was just like so expensive. So expensive and so much work that I would have had to do personally, and it still would have been an expensive venture. And so I'm so grateful for my godmother and Ifa Shewa for starting Orisa Hoodoo Publishing, because now I was able to just give them the thing. And Ifa Shewa has been working on it for a couple of days, trying to make sure that the format is right. It's going to be bigger than this. It's going to be, I believe, an 8x11 size is the right size. But she's just working on the logistics of it to make sure that it comes out right for everybody. So that one's taking a little bit longer, but it's fine. I trust her judgment. I love her. What did you say? Because we be up working and that energy and praying at all hours at any given time, getting in that work. That's right. Yeah. Like I said, sometimes I go back to sleep, but sometimes they be like, nah, we're up now. So back to the planner. So yeah, you can use, there's a part of the planner where you can put in things that you have to do today. You could put in, if there's an anniversary of any type, a death anniversary, something like that you want to make sure that you celebrate. You put that on there, and then you can, like I said, you get a whole 24 hours. There are 24 hours in a day, not 16. So there is the full 24 hours. And then there's also reflections at the bottom. You can write notes from today, and then there's a reflection like, how did I practice Iwa Pele today, which is Iwa Pele is good character. And you can switch up the prompt that you actually use. There is a couple of ideas at the beginning of the book, or at the beginning of the planner, of things that you can use instead of Iwa Pele. But that's one of the reflections, like how was I my best version of myself today, basically is what that means. And so it's a journal, a little bit of a journal, but mostly just a planner, just so you can get things in alignment. I feel like we waste a lot of time sometimes. And then sometimes we don't make time for things that we could. We don't make time for self-care, which we need to do. We don't make time for disassociating. And I know that sounds crazy, but depending on what kind of job you have, like I have in my muggle life, I have a job where I have to talk to the public a lot. And so sometimes I just need to not talk to anybody. I don't want to look at a computer screen. I don't want to be on the phone talking to nobody. I want to disassociate. I want to go stand in the shower, wash off my day, and do nothing for about 20 minutes. I mean, I always need to take a nap. Sometimes I do. But I definitely need to not for a minute. And so you can plan that as part of your day. And I encourage that in the book and in mentorship, to put in time for yourself, whether that be taking a nap. Schedule a nap, baby. Schedule that nap. Schedule social media time. I think sometimes we start doom scrolling and then we're on social media for 3 hours and we didn't plan to be because we had other things that we had to do today, like laundry or something. But you can still plan that. You can plan social media time. Like, I'm going to spend an hour on Facebook today, or I'm going to spend an hour on Instagram today. And then I'm going to go do something more productive. And also, part of the planner and with the living the Orisa, the cross between the two is I talk about how to plan cleaning. A lot of people don't truly clean their house. And a lot of people spend one day cleaning their house and they feel overwhelmed and therefore they only do it that one day and they hate cleaning, or they don't get as productive as they could be because they're trying to do it all in one day. So in the book, I talk about when to clean certain things because there is actually a better time to clean certain places of your home. If you're sticking with feng shui and you're sticking with like astrology and things like that, I don't want to say it matters, and then I don't want to say it doesn't matter. It's important. It's something that can be useful to you. You don't have to do it every time. I don't do it every time, but there's things that you should clean before a full moon. There's things that you should clean before a new moon. If that is what you want to do. And so we talk about that in the book. And so those are things that you can put in the planner, like, hey, I have to clean my kitchen today. Because my kitchen is in the area that has to do with career and home, or with career and money. And the moon is in Jupiter, and Jupiter has to do with career and money, things like that. So that's all kind of talked about in the book. And then in the mentorship, there's going to be some other stuff. We're going to talk about everything in both books, learn how to use the planner, but then there's going to be some extras. So like one of the very first classes we're going to do in the mentorship is divination. A lot of people don't know what divination is and they don't understand the importance of it. So in the very first class, we're going to talk about different ways to do divination, but we're also going to do 4-calorie divination. That's the first thing that we're going to learn, because unless you're using OB, which is the bitter cola nut, it's usually pink, about this big or so, but they're really hard to get right now and they're really kind of expensive. And so cowrie shells is a way to get the same concepts down, and get a lot of good practice in it without having to use OB all the time. Like I said, because it's expensive and it's hard to get right now, depending on where you live. I live in Ohio, so there is no cola, no 4-lobed cola, I should say, not bitter cola, 4-lobed cola. There's no 4-lobed cola here. You can also use 5-lobed. We'll talk about that in mentorship and what that means. But for most people, you can go and get you some cowrie shells and learn with the cowrie shells and be just fine. I know the hoodoo way is to use pennies, and we'll be using pennies until everybody gets their cowrie shells. Not a problem. Same basic concept. And we'll talk about that, once that time comes in actual mentorship. So that's one of the things that we're going to learn that are not really in the books, but it's an important part of the process that people do need to learn if they are going to walk this path at any point. You need to learn how to do divination and know when your offerings are accepted and know how to do those readings and how you need to move, even if it's not offerings. It's just a question. You want to do yes or no questions, you need to use cowrie shells or pennies. You wouldn't use tarot cards for a yes or no question. I wouldn't, personally, because it could mean anything based on that tarot card. Some of them are more ambivalent than others. Like if it says death, then okay, maybe not. But death is also a transformation. So it's more based on your relationship with your cards and your interpretation of the cards. That's not the case with cowrie shells and pennies, and OB. You do that divination, it say what it say. And there's no room for misinterpretation with that. And so that's what we're going to learn in the mentorship. That's just one of the many things that we're going to learn in mentorship. There will be opportunities to learn how to make certain things, especially for the newer people. So learning how to make sachets, learning how to do candle magic properly, all types of things that we're actually going to talk about in the mentorship. So I don't see any real questions in here, but if you have any questions, put them in the chat. So yeah, I'm gonna read real quick. I'm gonna read this little bit from Priestess Ola Ia's book. So today, her link will be available or at some point. So her book is called WAP, W-A-P, Wet, Aligned, Powerful. It is not a book you just read. It's a reclamation, a remembering, a spiritual initiation disguised as self-love work. Through ancestral wisdom, sensual embodiment, shadow work, and divine feminine power, this book guides women back into the right relationship with their bodies, their pleasure, their intuition, and their destiny. It speaks to the womb as an altar, desire as sacred intelligence, and softness as a form of strength. This is where spirituality meets sexuality, where healing meets heat, where your body stops being a battlefield and becomes a temple again. WAP is for the woman who's tired of shrinking, tired of silencing herself, tired of disconnecting from her own magic. It is for the woman ready to get wet in truth, aligned with purpose, and powerful in her presence. Not explicit, not fluffy, not basic, just sacred, seductive, and sovereign. Child, so I did not read the scripture before I said that. So that last little bit over there got me. It got me because I wasn't ready to read it. But I'm gonna be getting it though. So that is Priestess Ola Ia's book. It is called WAP, and it is going to be released today as well. So make sure you go to OrishaHoodooPublishing.com so that you can see what is available. I just realized I don't have a banner for that, so I will put that across the screen. Ooh, I almost did the original one. There we go. There we go. So it's now scrolling across the bottom, OrishaHoodooPublishing.com. And since today is actually Oshay Sango. Yeah, Oshay Sango and Oshay Oya. I don't know what's wrong with my mouth. Hold on, let me drink some water. I did a lot of talking and not drinking. So I'm going to read a little bit of both. Just a little bit. So, Oya. That's the chapter that we're on. I'm so excited about this book, y'all. Okay. Oya. The spirit of transformation, change, and the winds of renewal. Oya, also known as Oya Yansan, is the Orisha of transformation, storms, wind, and the guardian of the cemetery gates and the breath between life and death. She is the force that clears away stagnation, awakens new beginnings, and governs transitions of all kinds. Oya's winds are powerful. They can destroy what no longer serves, but they also make room for rebirth. She represents courage, truth, and emotional honesty, the ability to release the past so that growth can occur. Her presence is intense yet deeply compassionate, reminding us that change is not punishment but evolution. In one pataki, a pataki is a story. Some people liken it to like fables or whatever. I wouldn't necessarily call it a fable, but pataki kind of explain who the Orisha are, and it gives you a lot of insight as to how you can ask them for help in your own life. So, in one pataki, Oya was once married to Ogun, the Orisha of iron, but her restless spirit sought the fire of transformation. She met Shango, the Orisha of thunder, whose passion matched her own. Together they created lightning, with Oya's winds feeding his flames. Their union symbolizes the sacred balance of fire and air, destruction and creation, passion and renewal. So that's just a little snippet of Oya. So Shango. Oh, let me show you what it looks like. Okay. Shango, the Orisha of power, thunder, and divine justice. Shango, and then I put some of the different spellings of Shango because based on the tradition, like if it's Lukumi or Santeria, there may be a different spelling, but they are the same spirit. Shango is the Orisha of thunder, lightning, fire, and justice. He is the embodiment of power, balanced with discipline and a divine reminder that strength must always serve truth. A mighty king and warrior in life, Shango's spirit transcended mortality to become the living force of righteous authority, leadership, and protection. He governs integrity, accountability, and moral courage. His thunder reminds humanity that every word and action carries weight, and that dishonesty or abuse of power will always call forth consequence. Shango's fire purifies, revealing what is hidden and empowering those who stand in truth. Let's see. Which one? I'll read this one. In one Pateki, Shango accidentally unleashed lightning and destroyed his own palace and many of his people. Stricken with grief and remorse, he took his own life. His spirit transformed into divine thunder, forever watching over humanity. Through this, he became the Orisha of justice, teaching that power without humility brings destruction, but repentance transforms error into wisdom. So there are many people who will not discuss how Shango left the earthly plane. It's actually taboo to talk about it, but it's relevant. So I had to explain it because you can't just tell new people, oh, it's too taboo, we can't talk about it. That's not how people in the West are going to learn. And it's really not that practical to just tell people, oh, we just don't talk about that. It's like Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. We can't do that. And so, again, I wrote this book with the understanding that new people are going to read it. And it's just the basic things that you just really kind of got to know before you can even start to begin to venerate properly. So let me see if there's any questions. I don't see any questions, y'all. So make sure that you go grab Walking with the Orisha, a guide for new practitioners. It is out now. Living with the Orisha is also out, and so is The Path of Daily Power, which is the planner. So go get all three. The mentorship starts February 1st. I will drop the link in the description. I don't think it's in there right now, but I will update the description to make sure that it is in there. And thank you all for joining me. I love you so much. Love y'all deep like Olokun. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Martin Luther King Day. I hope I took the day off, child. I put in PTO. I was supposed to be at work. I didn't feel good. I had a headache all weekend. And I went ahead and went live for y'all since I wasn't able to do it yesterday. So I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you to everyone who's already bought the books. I appreciate you. Share them. Share the links, all the things. Love y'all so much. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Peace.